Hello everyone and welcome back to New Mexico. My wife and I are in a perpetual, what I would call slimming down process. We moved from California to New Mexico about a year ago, and ever since then we have been basically streamlining our entire list of physical possessions. Everything is on the table, including my entire photo book collection, my negatives. Yes, believe it or not, my negatives. Not entirely sure, not 100% sure right now I'm going to keep them, but that is a story for another day. The idea is we have too many things. We have too many material possessions, and we don't have a lot, but I still think we have too much. And the idea is at some point we want to be able to get in the van, have Santa Fe as our base, but be able to travel most of the time in the van. And so everything that we really need is going to be pared down to what's going to fit in the van. So you're pretty much talking about essentials. But certain things that I have grown very fond of, some are new, some are incredibly old, that I wanted to talk about today. These are 5 things that I use on a daily basis that I think are incredibly well made, that are important to me, and they're very strategic in what I do on a day-to-day basis. I love things that last. So much of what I'm going to show you and talk about are things that I've had for a long time that are either handmade or made in a certain way that I know they're going to be with me for a long, long time. So we have 5, and believe me, I have way more than 5 things that I use on a daily basis, and I'm not some sort of Zen monk that sits in lotus all day and that can pare down to nothing. I'm not quite that person yet. I probably never will be, but I want to go through 5 things, and I'm trying to figure out what order I want to go. I think the first thing I'm going to do and show you, and I'm going to switch to some high-tech camera wizardry here to go over these objects. The first one is a bit heavy. And the first one is this. This is my Manduka PRO yoga mat. Now, I have bought and sold and been through 100 yoga mats over the years. And what I do is what I would call blue collar yoga. I'm a blue collar yoga guy. I don't go to a studio. I'm not in Bali. I'm not an expert at yoga, but I do it almost every single day. The Manduka PRO mat cost me $120 probably 5 years ago. I've used it almost every day since I've had it, and I've used it on dirt, I've used it on tile, I've used it on wood, I've used it on uneven patios, I've used it on every kind of surface, and this thing literally looks exactly like the day I bought it. Now, the Manduka PRO is $120 for a yoga mat. You're probably thinking, that's insane, why would I pay that? It's actually guaranteed for life. That to me is incredible, but here's the twist on that I think is pretty funny, is I love this mat. It's longer than a normal mat, it's thicker than a normal mat, but again, it's just, so far it's been indestructible. If 10 years from now this mat wears out, or 15 years from now it wears out, I will not go to Manduka and say, my mat wore out, give me another one. I think that would be probably the most diametrically opposed ideal to yoga than I could possibly imagine. If I get 15 years out of this yoga mat and it wears out, I'm gonna go buy another one. I'm not gonna go to them and say, hey, your yoga mat wore out. But this mat is rock solid. If you're into yoga, you probably already know about this mat. And if you're not into yoga, just let me say, it completely and utterly changed my life going back many, many years. I'm not very good at it, but it's an integral part of every single thing I do in my life. It's kind of a baseline, if you will. Okay, number 1 was my Manduka PRO mat in jet black, of course, because everything that's black is cooler. Photographers love black, come on. The second thing I'm gonna talk about, I have one version of it here. This is a trip. This is the original prototype of something called the Dan bag. And if maybe you can see this, maybe not. I'll do some high-tech wizardry. This says Smog Ranch here. This is a patch, Smog Ranch, which is my old website, still sewn on here. So I met a guy a couple years ago named Arthur Sharp, who lives here in Santa Fe. He was introduced to me by Karen Kuhn, the photographer. And Arthur walks in, we're gonna have tea somewhere someday. This is probably 10 years ago. Arthur walks in with a leather shoulder bag that I have never seen before. That was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I go, where'd you get that? He goes, oh, I made it. I said, do you realize what would happen if photographers realized they could get a bag like that? He's like, no, that's interesting. Do you think there'd be people that want this? So a couple of days later, I go to his studio at 10 o'clock at night, and at like 4 o'clock in the morning, I walk out with this bag, which is called the Dan bag. And there are now 4 sizes of this bag. Now, this is leather. This is made by hand here in Santa Fe. Leather is heavier than canvas. This is not a camera bag. I don't use it for my camera stuff for the most part, but this is made from a very high quality leather. It's hand stitched here in Santa Fe. It was designed by Arthur and I, primarily Arthur, but I gave insight as to what I would use it for. I absolutely love this bag. Now, if this one is too big, I also have something called the mini Dan bag, which is kind of the one that I carry on a daily basis. Now, here's the thing. I told you before, this is not a camera bag. If you walk around with your camera inside of a bag, number one, you will never use it, and number two, you will never get the images you want. How do I know that? Because I did it. I made that mistake for a long time. I realized even though that I can fit a Leica or my Fuji in here, I don't put it in there ever because I just continually kept missing things that I should have had my camera out for. So I use the Mini Dan for a journal. There's a variety of other leather pouches in there. One of the best things about both of these bags is that it allows you to get your phone off of your body. It just boggles my mind when I see young males in particular, young men carrying their cell phone in their front jeans pocket. If I had to create a list of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life, that would be one of them. That would be in the top 5. We know with beyond any shadow of a doubt what kind of radiation and rays come out of a cell phone. Why would you carry that in your front pocket? That's just dumb. Let's just call it what it is. It's like being at the gym and seeing sometimes women will stuff their cell phone inside their sports top. That's another bad move, epically bad move. So these bags have special pockets where you can safely store that phone, and it sits way deep inside these pockets. Most of the time, I've seen people go through my bag. I'll say, hey, get my cell phone out of my bag for me, and they can't find it. It's so secure inside here. It has a journal pouch. I can carry hard drives. I can carry my laptop, my iPad, my journal, and my book, and my hard drives and power cords very easily in the Dan bag. I also love the fact it's leather. And leather, yes, is heavier than canvas, but it also lasts forever. And these bags, if anything wears out, Arthur is amazing at just saying boom, bang, bing, fixing it and sending it off to you. So the Dan bag is the second item on my list. Item number 3, I'm wearing. Actually, 2 of the items I'm wearing. One is old, one is new. Let's start with the new. I am wearing a Beyond K5 Modus jacket. Now this is relatively new to me, and mine's kitted out with the AG23 patch on the sleeve, because everywhere I wear this jacket, people ask me about it, and the AG23 badge was obviously a way of sort of subliminally marking this. Every day, every single day I wear this jacket, people say, what is AG23? And I get to explain it to them. I carry copies with me. It's worked incredibly well. It's also exposed AG to a bunch of people who would never otherwise have seen this. Like people at the car dealership, someone's working on my van or whatever. Hey, what's up? What's AG23? I can tell those folks. They may or may not be in the photography space, the art space. They're able to get exposed to AG23. This jacket, and now that I live in an area that has 4 distinct seasons. 4 days ago, we were 91 degrees. 2 days ago, we were 33 in snow. And today, I think the high is around 60. We got wind, clouds, etc. For the next probably 8 months of my life, this will be with me on a daily basis. Now, a couple of things I like about this. It's lightweight. It's not insulated. If I have a long sleeve thermal layer underneath it, and I'm moving, I can be happy in those high 30 degree temps. I know this because I went for a hike 2 days ago in the snow in this jacket with a thermal layer underneath, but I was moving constantly, and I was also close to home. If I was going on that same hike in the summer and monsoon season and I was up at 12,000 feet and I knew I might get caught in a hailstorm, I would not want only this jacket. I would put a weatherproof shell over the top of it. But it's very lightweight. It has a bamboo charcoal interior, and I'm a sweater. I sweat a lot, and so I can imagine this jacket turning sour very quickly, but that bamboo inside and charcoal inside really soaks up a lot of the smell and the awfulness that comes off of me. Let's just be clear here. It's awfulness. You can ask my wife. It's one of my specialties. And so I'm hoping that I don't ruin this jacket in a short time just based on how foul I am as a human being. Also, it holds my microphone with this super cool pocket right here, which oddly enough, is now very important to me because I love these mics. I don't like hardwired mics or any of that stuff. This thing works really well. I think I'm gonna get a second set of these in white, and they now have a splitter so I can do interviews. I can put a second set on somebody that I'm interviewing. I can keep this on myself. We can move around. They work from hell and gone from the camera. I've tried them at like 100 yards. They still work well. So K5 Modus jacket, It's 140 bucks, which in the grand scheme of the jacket world is really not very expensive. I have jackets that are far more expensive from that I hardly ever use. So this, I'm very curious. I would say in the next 8 months, I will, chances are, wear this almost every day. And so at the end of 8 months, I'll be able to come back and give you a better review of what it's like long term. Okay, number 4, and I'm spacing out on what number 5 was. Oh, I know what number 5 is, but number 4, let me bend down here. You're gonna laugh. And if you hate hippies or you're insecure, you're not gonna like number 4. But I have to show you this. Number 4 are whatever these are called. They're Birkenstocks. I do not know the model number. These are 24 years old. I kid you not. I bought these when I lived in Laguna Beach with my wife. I moved there in 1996. So let me give you a little history of Birkenstock here with me. As a kid, my mom wore Birkenstocks, and the rest of my siblings and I made constant fun of her because they were the hippie sandals. They were the ugliest shoes on the planet. And my mom kept saying, one day when you're old enough and mature enough and secure enough with who you are, you will understand how good these shoes are. And I was like, never gonna happen. Then I was working at the paper in Phoenix. My mom came to visit. We were walking down the street. We walked past the Birkenstock store. God, that's hard to say. And she goes, you should go in and get a pair. And I said, never gonna happen. She goes, I'll buy them. I said, all right, let's go. So we go in and I look at these things. I put them on. I get the Birkenstocks. I get a pair. She goes, you gotta wear them all the time because the cork footbed is gonna morph to your foot. And I'm thinking, what do you work for them? That sounds like a load of BS. So I buy these, and within about 2 weeks, I'm like, my feet feel better in these shoes than any pair of shoes I've ever had in my life. Yes, they look funny. My long-haired friends in college who spent a lot of time in their VW Fox station wagons, they were prone to wearing these and eating lots of almond butter. But I'm like, I don't care, I'm gonna try these. So I get them, and they turn out to be the best pair of sandals I've ever had. I wear them into the ground, they finally wear out. They got a lot of salt water on them, that's not good for any shoe. So 96, I buy these. 24, 25 years later, I don't know what the model is. They're suede, they're brown, they're grooved for high speed. Not really, but I like to think that. And they are showing some signs of wear here on the heels in the back, but the soles have some flat patches and also some patches that don't look like they've ever touched the ground. All I'm saying is, these last forever. What kind of shoe lasts for 24 years or 23 or 22 or 21 or 18, whatever? Nothing lasts that long. These shoes are fantastic. Birkenstock is now making boots, which I would love to try because I wear boots all the time, and I have a pair now that I really like, but my feet feel so good in these that I'm curious what their boots are like. And they also make a ton of other shoes that I really like. If you've never tried it or you're terrified of what they're gonna look like and you're a little bit insecure in who you are, just know that 99.9% of all women I know on this planet own a pair of Birkenstocks. So if you're afraid of women making fun of you, I don't think that's gonna happen. Your guy friends probably will, but who cares? That's what guy friends do. We torture each other every single day. That's what we do. We're guys. Get over it. Amazing shoes. This looks like a normal shoe if you're wearing a pair of pants because your pants sort of block the back of it. And then if you're super cool, you wear them with socks, right? I mean, everybody wants the Birkenstock / socks thingy. Okay, I now remembered what number 5 is. I've talked about this before. Okay, so let me just recap before we get here. I forget what number 1 was. Number 1 was my Manduka yoga mat. 120 bucks, worth every penny. My Dan bag and the mini Dan bag were number 2, I think. That was pretty amazing. Modus K5 Modus jacket from Beyond was number 3. My Birkenstocks were number 4. And number 5 I've talked about many times, and it's my journal. This has been a godsend during COVID in particular. I've always written in a journal, going back to when I was a kid, but then I took a huge hiatus, and then back in 93 is when I started journaling seriously, and I've kept up ever since. And this has, because I am a people-based documentary photographer, all the documentary projects I do, almost without exception, are based around people. And I cannot do that now safely during COVID. If you are putting your photo essay above the collective safety of the population, you need to reassess your priorities, because I simply cannot do the kind of photography that I usually do safely now. I cannot be that close to people inside without masks, or even outside without masks, work with people the way that I do, which is basically living with them over X amount of time. I just can't do it safely, and it's not that important for me to do a photo essay. It's much more important to keep from infecting anyone. So I have to shift. I'm spending way more time drawing or attempting to draw. I am not I'm not good at it. Someone wrote the other day and said I should stop saying that I'm not good at things. I totally and utterly disagree. I am not good at drawing. There is no two ways about it. If you put my drawings in front of 100 people and said, is that person good or bad? 100% would say, not good. Maybe he will be at some point, but he's not good now. So there's no point in me hiding the fact that I do not know how to draw. In fact, if I had known how to draw going back, I would have never touched a camera. I would have drawn. So I'm trying to learn to draw, and I'm also writing a lot more because to me, writing is the high art. Writing is something you can do anywhere without having to physically move yourself. I think in times of COVID, writing, illustration, design, etc., sort of supersede photography, especially doc photography, because you just can't safely do it right now. So I have shifted over. I write even more every day in this book. I take notes in this book. I sketch my ideas in this book. I put photographs in this book. I play with design in this book. It is a huge part of my life. This carries with me very safely in either a backpack or my Dan bag or my mini Dan bag or thrown in the van or under my arm or wherever else. So the journal is essential to me. I can't imagine where those thoughts would be and those ideas would be if I didn't have it, because I'm certainly never going to punch it in on my phone. I can't imagine anything worse than journaling on a phone or even on my iPad. I wouldn't journal on my iPad, and I do like the iPad, but I would never do that. It's a pen and paper, a fountain pen in my case, because it's the only way I can read my own writing. Don't ask me why. It's just the way it is. Maybe because it slows me down. I don't know. Top 5, wait a minute, scratch that. Not top 5, just 5 things that I use on a daily basis that I think are pretty interesting. Manduka yoga mat, Dan bag, mini Dan, Beyond K5 Modus, journal, and Birkenstocks. I bet you didn't think this film was coming. Talk about random. Anyway, hope that is helpful. And if one of these items on this list looks appealing to you, you can reach out and I will give you more details on why I think they're interesting. Adios.